Starting. Okay, we are back. We are live. We had to do a new link. We had to reset. Sorry about that, family. Again, these are some of the technical issues that you deal with when you're working with technology. Let me send the guest the new joint too, so he knows where to go. But anyhow, I don't even know where the heck I was because I was scrambling trying to get us back live. To be honest with you, um, again, out here in Vegas, needed to see Rodney do some couple things. About boom, everything was good. We are just going through it, trying to um, make sure all the boxes are checked, T's are crossed, I's are dotted. Today we'll get Sir Cooper on. We'll talk to him. We'll also get a recap from Brother Barry about what's the latest and greatest up there in the great state of Minnesota. We'll also get into um, uh, the the speech words coming from the president on nationalization of elections in in certain 15 areas. I wonder where the hell those are, and we'll go into so much going on, y'all. To be honest with you, the real economy and how that's not looming. I saw yesterday that the Dow jumped 1,000 points after the day previous of a great fall. And the reality is, regardless of what the Dow Jones Industrial and NASDAQ do, people are hurting. Like jobs are being lost left and right, right and left. Again, UPS just laid off thousands of employees. Amazon did the same. We're talking about job cut at the job cut at the job cut. I know two, three different truck companies that are going out of business immediately, if not too far in the near future. Notice how guarded I was with those words, not too far in the near future. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about technology, and there's the algorithm, right? It's talking about, I started getting reels about it and just how soon and how close we are to having robots whom are so ambidextrous that they can do things just like humans can do. That is scary. We are definitely getting closer and closer to a point where we very well may all be replaced in the workplace by some type of robot. And that's not good. A lot of people have tied their whole essence to what they do. So to pull that from under them is scary for a lot of reasons. Reason number one, if these folks don't know what to do, some of them will choose malice. Let's be honest. Reason number two, for a long time, folks will always, well, that's not true. Folks will heavily associate money with their ability to do this, that, and the third. Well, if they ain't making none, they gonna get it by any means necessary. I think Jadakiss said in one of his songs, when the economy's down, watch the homies go up. You know what I'm saying? Like it is the truth. When the economy is down, people are desperate. They do what they need to do in order to be a functioning part of the economy. However, they need to do it. Sad, but true. Uh, but yeah, so being replaced by robots is something, again, very close than I think most people want
You get
to
the first
accept
one.
it. It goes to um, Rodney. We were talking about how our politics are shaping up and how that's forming. And I was saying how I don't think many people can truly wrap their minds around how far off the rails we are because we've been fed this lie about how our democracy is supposed to work for so long that people are having a tough time digesting the fact that our democracy is and was very fragile. It really stood strong on the backs of people whom wanted to maintain some type of norm, who held on to the notion that we need to keep the parameters operating. Now I can push it a little bit, but I'm not trying to break it. I'm just trying to get a little something. We now have a cat whom does not care about the parameters. He don't care if they broken. He don't care if they're stretched. He want everything he can get for himself and his cronies, and they are going after it mightily. They are going after it mightily. They don't. They are going after it with a heavy hand. They are going after it sloppily. This is why you're seeing all of the chaos that is happening right now. I saw a clip this morning um, that folks were talking about. There was a um, in Maine, a brother got pulled over by ICE, snatched up. His car was left on the side of the road, unattended, running, windows down, and they removed him because they accused him of being illegal in America. Well, he has a visa that doesn't expire until 2029. How is he an illegal in America? He has no criminal background, no criminal record whatsoever. He was a correctional officer, cadet, and no record whatsoever, none. And they snatched this cat up, left his car running, just running on the side of the road, unattended, windows down. How does that work? And the sheriff or whatever was saying how him and his colleagues had gone to the White House a couple of months ago, met with the president, and how the administration had directly said that they were looking after illegals, folks with criminal records, and he was like, "Well, this is obviously not that case, and I don't understand how you mesh the two." Well, they don't care. They don't care. It doesn't matter. To be correct, it's an constitutional republic. Thank you, bro. Yes, we are a constitutional republic, without a doubt. And but again, the notion that we've been sold is not to be that explicit, if you will, not to be that specific, if you will. We have been sold a different notion, and now the veil is being pulled from all of our eyes. The wool, the what is it? The carpet is being tugged from underneath of us. However the hell you want to say it, it's definitely an eye-opening experience for a lot of people as to what is going on. And again, I don't think most people can even fathom what could happen in the very near future. There was a walkout in Baltimore City by the school kids on Thursday, I believe. If it wasn't Thursday, it was Friday. I know others have gone around the nation to do such. Um, I'm curious to know how the children are reacting where you are, Rashi. What are they talking about this at all? Are you hearing anything? Are you seeing anything?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, Kansas City is a sanctuary city. We get the money just like all the rest of them. We allocate it to what we think would help best. Unfortunately, Kansas City is still a college town. We trying to get our FIFA up, but you know what I'm saying. But it's still very much so a Midwest college, a podunk college town, and so we didn't think honestly that we were going to have to suffer with a Minneapolis or Chicago or something like that type level event as far as us welcoming our foreign nationals and integrating them into the city. In fact, we were excited because we are a small podunk town, and so by declaring ourselves a sanctuary city, we actually opened up. We increased our population. We increased our hell. We even got a few decent restaurants that wasn't KFC and Chinese, right? And
Mm,
so, but the problem is exactly the children. And so, what has happened is we have had a series of people come to each location at our school talking about what we can and cannot do when it comes to people coming to the door. And they tried to make it
mm,
real general, like they wasn't talking about ICE. They tried to make it to where they was talking about any um, state ran foreign entity that wasn't the actual district itself or our local police. We were pretty much told comply with local police and comply with the military proper, like if they had sent the National Guard or if they had sent one of y'all or something. But we were told if they just showing up with in brown and gray with a poo shiesty mask on, that's not gonna do it. That we are not to comply, and that was really hard for us. Now our children, um, have become savvy, and the school that has the majority of our foreign nationals at it in this city, it's called it's Northeast High School and Northeast Middle
Okay.
School. That's where our uh, Latino. It's got an extremely high Latino concentration of people, and it's a community school, so that it caters to the actual community it's located in. We have two different kind of schools: the ones that cater to the location they're in, and the ones that cater to a magnet or a theme that a child could integrate into so that they could be sexful in the future. You see, it's two
Okay.
different, but it's two different. Okay, so for the school that is in the Hispanic community and it is of the Hispanic community, they done walked out too. They walked out again. I was going to say against medical orders. I got a medical trainer, so I was going to say they went AMA, but they went out of the school en masse. At least everybody, but a few of the black kids. Most of the black kids stayed behind because they are recognizing that what their mama said, this ain't our fight, right? So most of the black children stayed in the school, but then the Hispanic children took up their postcards and hell no, we won't go signs, and went outside and went off. They had to go off school grounds in order not to be considered truant and have the people rain the truancy officers down on them. So they went across the street from the schools, and they form their own protest. These are people who are 13 to 17 years old. And so, yes, they did make the news, and they actually got the support of our district.
Really?
Every district got they truancy henchmen or whatever. Get your ass back up in there,
Hmm.
dudes. Okay, they sent him down. They sent her down. It's a man and a woman, and instead of them elevating and escalating, and hell, damn near calling ice on them themselves, they went over there across the street. They told him that's right. We agree. They talked to him about our policies that we are a you can't take them to school district. They tried to give them as much comfort as they could. They handed out pamphlets and shit that they were supposed to tell their mama. Here, tell
But no
your mom,
water because they get arrested, right?
but no water, no food, because essentially they want children. We get paid when a child sits in a seat, not when they go across the street. Okay,
Right.
so we essentially want children in seats, not in the streets. So they did try to get them to come down and just relax and not for real turn it into a children in the street day, because young people without a mission, a true internal mission, if they're not in the classroom and they all lined up in bunches on the streets, that has the potential to turn into a clusterfuck, right, Barry? And so a lot of people were just kind of came to make sure that hell that they stayed on task. If you want your immigration liberation, then okay, keep it about that, not going in and out of the liquor store around the corner and running them down the street in traffic. So I commend my district. They recognize the angst in the children that this bill is affecting the most, that this the situationship we have with ICE is affecting the most, and they try to inform and placate instead of instigate and antagonate. And so, yes, we did get a little bit. Unfortunately, it was not district wide because it only happened at the school that has the majority of the children who would be affected by the event. So, but yes, we did get us a little bit of something here in Casey.
Thomas, have things calmed down a little bit in Minnesota since ICE has reduced its force? It hasn't pulled out, but reduced its force, or are tensions still just as high because they want everybody gone?
Um, I mean, tensions are still just as high. I know there's going to be a bunch of things that's happening this today, but for the most part, it's the same. I mean, it can't. It's not going to change. I mean, 700. It's still 2,300 ICE agents. We only have 600 police officers in Minneapolis. We only have 1,000 something in St. Paul, and you still are having things on the streets. What you're seeing less of is just less
Hold on,
broad.
hold on, hold on. Hold on. So if my math is math, and you're telling me there's 1,300 police officers total between St. Paul and Minneapolis, but you're telling me there are more ICE agents there.
There's more ICE.
1,300 total.
Yeah, there's more ICE agents here
That's
than
almost 2 to 1.
it is 2 to 1. But I mean, that's what Trump had. He has his personal army, and I mean, listen, what I laugh at is the jokes about Minnesota. I know Chris Rock is everybody's favorite. There ain't no black folks in Minnesota, just Prince. But then y'all make these Harriet Tubman memes and all of this stuff. What do you think the North Star State is? What do you think people came to last stop of the Underground Railroad? How you think all the black folks got to Canada? Where do you think they came through? Minnesota. The significance of Minnesota to black people in this country for the jokes nobody has gone to a lot of these other places. The idea that they would use this place as a stronghold and what that symbolizes to white supremacy, it matters. This is the home of the Dred Scott case. You guys run around talking about you're 3/5 of a man. Where the hell you think you got that from? I'm just saying, Minnesota has a lot of rich history when it comes to black folks. We were the second place where the NAACP chapter was started. We weren't the number 200, wasn't the 20th. We were the second. Why? Because there's always been a level of black consciousness here in this state. And so
Sounds of blackness originated in Minnesota.
100%.
I didn't know that till recently. I watched the documentary. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I
100%.
had no idea.
All the music you listened to from the late 80s to the early 90s was all the Minneapolis sound.
Terry Jam, Terry,
Yeah, so
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Yeah.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So we have our place, but that place antagonizes white supremacy. That antagonizes them. So yes, it's not as ratcheted up as people may think it is, because some of the hoopla has died down. No one's been shot. People still protesting. People are still doing what they're doing, but I think from Holman to some of the other things, they've just been told to turn it down and then be more deliberate. Now, I talked about our sheriff, Dewana Whitman, DeWitt, whatever her name, on the show before about her and stop and frisk. And I told you all, this is before ICE got here. And I was telling you about how she went back on what they said they were going to do after George Floyd. And then I see yesterday, she puts out a statement that she may collaborate with ICE. And she's going to do a collaboration. She know it may cost her her job. She did her whole, hey, I'm going to do the right thing, even though it costs me. And that's just who she is. That's just who she is. That's who she was when she was having her department do stop and frisk on brothers in the past. So I'm not shocked by Dewana Witt, that's her name, selling out and saying that she's going to cooperate with ICE, because here's the truth of the matter. They're not putting these people in humane situations.
Not at all.
They're putting them in detention centers. And if you can let that sit on your conscience, where they have centers of thousands of children, the youngest child, from what I heard last night from Jasmine Crockett, being 1 month old. When you can allow children and human beings to be placed in a place like that, dog cages and other things like that, and you say that you are cooperating, I would say that is a part of that polite Negro syndrome that has always bent its knee to white supremacy. They always speak the Queen's English. They're always polite. They always say they want to do the right thing. And typically the right thing is to capitulate to racism. So things haven't turned down It's just I think that the camera is being refocused in other ways. Trump is doing other things to get people to focus on those things. But it's still a problem here, and it's going to continue to be a problem here. And partially, it's going to be that problem because we do have a large immigrant community here with Somali, Hmong, as well as East and West African folks outside of that. Oh, and Latinos, and let's not forget our Latino community.
Gotcha. I'll ask this question to Rodney. Um, for Rodney, I'm sorry. He said, "What is the right thing?" Um, I'm not
Whatever,
sure where that.
whatever, and I'll say this: whatever they feel is the right thing, that people pull out their ass. I don't.
Mm,
That's just really what it is. The right thing always seems to me to be something that's not right for the time. And to me, stop and frisk wasn't the right thing when they were jumping out on black men, beating the hell out of them, and she was in charge of that. So whatever she feels like is the right thing might end up with somebody getting their ass whooped.
but he's actually available. I thought he wasn't. Rodney, so would you like to expand on that? Or what have you seen in Vegas? I've been here since yesterday early, and I haven't seen anything going on.
Well, there are high schools that are the students are walking out and they're doing their own protests here. As a matter of fact, we were at a school board working session where the local Moms for Liberty group has filed multiple complaints against the history teacher for teaching the children from the Nevada educational standard as well as the stated curriculum about protests and the First Amendment and how the country was formed. Around the same time he was doing that, the ICE went to his high school and snatched some children. Well, the children saw their friends and their classmates getting snatched. They had just had a lesson on protest and exercising their First Amendment right. So they decided to walk out in protest while exercising their First Amendment right for their cohort being snatched. And then the local uh, MAGA group, Moms for Liberty, has filed multiple complaints towards against him at the school board, and he's an assemblyman, and also to the Assembly Ethics Committee. So we organized a group, and we went there, and you can see the videos on my page. And Surge was the dominant force there, which was surprising that there was few black people, but Surge was a dominant force there, and they spoke in support of the educator and the students. And at the same time, this group is going against books in the library. And so Surge spoke in support of books in the library. So what is happening here is MAGA has had the microphone almost exclusively, and they've also had the imagery almost exclusively. And what I've told the various groups that I'm associated is that we have to get the microphone as well, and we need to be seen, so we need to show up. And that's what we did this week. So yes, the children are walking out. We have a detention, a concentration camp. I'm gonna call it what it is. We have a concentration camp, not in Las Vegas per se, but in our sister city, Henderson. And there have been protests there. There's been a couple of arrests, but it's been peaceful. And our law enforcement has said that they will support ICE. And you know what happened last night. So we cannot depend on, at least not the white law enforcement officers, because the black law enforcement officers are telling me a different story. What they're telling me is if somebody shows up in a mask and they're unidentified and they don't have proper credentials, to call them and they will respond. So we have yet to have an encounter like that, but I am anxious to see if the brothers in the police force are going to do what they said.
You spoke briefly about last night. Do you want to dig into that more, or you want to let it be?
If you think it's time, we can.
I think it's timely. I think it's timely because that's a tactic that's being used And we spoke to it briefly last week, and I just wanted to reiterate that. So please go ahead.
So I want to something I found out last night, and we talked about some years ago, was Black Identity Extremists, BIEs, and that was in 45's first administration. And that's when black people, and I'm not sure if it was specific to black, but when you were designated a black identity extremist or BIE, if you talked about the stuff that we talk about on this radio show, if you talk about the stuff that we talk about at the gathering, if you talk about black liberation, black freedom, black self-determination, black history, black independent financial systems, owning our own banks, any of that type of stuff that we normally talk about. You were then considered a black identity extremist, which was deemed an enemy of the state. And then once that designator has been placed on you, your constitutional rights no longer apply to you. Last night, we had an incident with our local police that came to where we hold the gathering to ask us about a meeting with the Black Panthers. And we did have a member of the Black Panther join us last week. And they came to that establishment from their CI division. In other words, their criminal investigation division, to ask the establishment if there was going to be a meeting of the Black Panthers, and that the Black Panthers, which I didn't know until last night, roughly 3 weeks ago, had been deemed domestic terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a surprise to me that the Black Panthers have been officially deemed a domestic terrorist group, and that the criminal investigation unit of our local police force came to our establishment during our meeting to bring this to the attention of the proprietors of the location in which we've been meeting for the last 4 or 5 years. That is an escalation, because now BIE no longer stands alone as a separate entity. BIE has been transitioned into another bucket, and that bucket designates, so that bucket is for violent extremist groups. And BIE, and you all please look it up because I didn't get a chance to read it. I asked some people at the gathering to read it to church me up on it.
I'm looking at it right now. Keep going. You're right. Go ahead.
But BIE has now been incorporated in this new designator of violent groups. So that means that officially, the things that we talk about and what we've just talked about would qualify us as a BIE designator, which also means that you could be considered an enemy of the state or a terrorist group. And that means your rights, as you should have, no longer necessarily apply to you. That is a serious escalation in the administrations. So now it's not just about going after so-called undocumented and undocumented criminals, because we know that that was never the case, and it expanded pretty quick. I've always said that black people were the target for people who thought it was okay to get rid of the Somalis and the Haitians, and that black people needed to stay out of it. I've always believed that that was the wrong attitude, because they were just using that as justification. In other words, they cast a big noose, a broad noose, and they used Latino Hispanics, criminals. And then it went from Latino Hispanics who were dangerous criminals to Latino Hispanics who were just criminals. And then it went to anybody who, and then it was to get rid of birthright citizenship. And then it was to get rid of um, Somalis, Haitians. The court stopped them with the Haitians. And I often said, if you put a Haitian, for that matter, it could be a Somali too, side by side with a black person, can you really tell a difference until they open their mouth? Because then they can scoop up anyone. And if you listen to the ICE agents talk, That's what they're talking about, is scooping up anyone. I remind people of Solomon Northup in 12 Years a Slave. He was a free man, but the slave catchers didn't care whether he was free. They went after him because he fit the bill.
That is right.
So now that noose that they had that was broad, they're bringing it right to where they always wanted it to be, and that was to us.
Sweetheart,
If you all don't mind, could we put this on pause? We're fortunate to have our guest with us this morning. We can come back to this part of the discussion, but
Bruce Bigelow,
Sir
Mel
Frank
Gigolo.
look at the cabinet equipment and Hangman's noose out of it. Found cabinet in the garage.
Hey,
All right,
Frank,
go on.
your
Go
mic is
on.
live. Your mic is live.
we know you can see you, right?
I understand.
Sir Frank
You're right.
Cooper's
This
doing
new
this
technology, boy. You can't hide
I
from
know,
none of
right?
it.
Nothing.
Top of the morning,
nothing.
guys.
Sir Frank Cooper, morning, and lady. Sir Frank Cooper is joining us this morning. Sir Frank is the proprietor, the founder of the AHAs. It's a award show and foundation for African American comedians to give them their just due and props. He's also a
X.
retired
Thank you.
I'm trying to think of the words. A retired
Cortisol.
relationship advisor.
Trying to clean it up.
I'm trying to, bro. I'm trying to.
I see.
You know, I really wanted to bring you on right before Valentine's Day to have that conversation. I did. Look, it's a real conversation, right? This is what we do. This is an honest conversation.
That's true.
So let's start off with the ahas and run that down, and then we'll run down the other bit of your life.
Okay. My name is Sir Frank Cooper. I'm the president and founder of the African American Humor Award Society, which is a society that I created the first award show for minority comedians, actors, and actresses. And that was established 35 years ago in Los Angeles, California. I was honored by the first black mayor of the first black mayor, period, in America, Mr. Tom Bradley. He also gave us a day to honor us with that particular name. Now, we've honored some of our alumni of people like, going all the way back to Rudy Ray Moore, Flip Wilson, Red Fox, Marla Gibbs, Dick Gregory, Moms Mabley, Monique, to bring us up currently, Jay Leno, George Wallace, and this past day before yesterday.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry because I'm listening to you, and I went through did you just say Jay Leno?
Yes, Jay Leno. The reason why Jay Leno was honored is because he's the only non-minority comedian that we've ever honored out of the 35 years I've been doing it. And the reason we did is because Jay Leno and George Wallace put together a half-an-hour documentary about black comedians and how they lived back in the day traveling with the Chitlin circuit. And not only that, Jay Leno used the Tonight Show to enhance the careers of several black comedians that would come on his show. Not only black comedians, but minority comedians. Give you a case of an example. There was a TV show starring the first Asian woman. Her name was Margaret Cho. Jay Leno had her on his show, and after he had her on his show, they created a sitcom around her. So she was the first Asian that ever had a sitcom in her name. Another minority that we honored was a man named Freddie Prinze, and he played on a TV show called Chico and the Man. He was the first Hispanic to have a sitcom on national TV. So we've not only just honored black comedians, we've also honored minority comedians, and that's what it was all about. Because Hollywood never gave these people a Golden Globe or an Emmy or a Grammy, and so I got sick and tired of seeing us being ignored, and I decided, hey, we'll just create our own thing. And we did. And of course, when I came up with the idea, of course, everybody said, well, don't worry, Frank, we're going to be right behind you. We with you. We need this. Well, when it came time to put the money where their mouth was, guess who started moonwalking on me? Everybody.
Well, you know.
No, but that's the way we tend to do each other, even though it was needed. So I've kept it going for the last 35 years, to the tune of in my pocket now a little over $8 million. And I still don't have a sponsor. And last week, not last week, but day before yesterday, Thursday, I honored a young man that, well, he's old now, but he was the first comedian actor that had the most guest stars on every sitcom, all the white sitcoms as well. He was the safe, as they say, Negro. And that man's name was T.K. Carter. And I went to help eulogize him day before yesterday at his funeral. And I presented this particular trophy. To his mother, because when we honored him in 2021, he didn't show up to pick up his trophy. So day before yesterday, I gave his mother the trophy, and she cried and thanked me, and it was really a beautiful ceremony. It really was.
You know, I just was, because I thought, yeah, they love us. They love us. They copying us to death. Every
Absolutely.
dance, since the days of the minstrel, right?
Absolutely.
We couldn't do shake our tail feather even once without them saying, "Oh, look at that! Oh,
That's
look
right.
at that!" And
That's
so, if we, how can we be so influential to what the idea of entertainment is, and still not yield any of the accolades? It drives me crazy. I'm like, me and you are right in the same boat. I'm like, you sitting up here in this woman's face doing everything you can to be her. Oprah, by the way, I'm talking about Oprah.
Oh, yes.
But these women, but they don't want to give Oprah nothing. They don't want to give Oprah nothing. But all these talk
She
show
got too much
hosts are,
money already.
they sensationalizing. They going right. If they not
Absolutely.
trying, they doing exactly what she did in the late 80s, 90s. They doing their best to sensationalize. They doing their best to bring
Yes.
the real world work that we have to do onto her show. So, but don't you ask Oprah what she got? Don't nobody give Oprah nothing but
Dear, I have reached out to just about Miss Shepherd, the lady whose his daytime show had just gotten canceled. I personally went to see her and told her about what I had done, and she's a comedian. And I never heard from that woman. I even gave her a T-shirt and a hat to show her that I was dead serious. All these black major talk shows and podcasts, believe it or not, this is one of 4 podcasts that I've done concerning the ahas. And what we did, we made Black history 35 years ago because nobody had ever done an award show for minority comedians. Nobody. And out of all the people that we've honored, some of these people were worth millions of dollars. These people said they were going to help me. But once again, when you reach out to them to help me get this thing on TV or to give me some money to help me keep it going, nobody has reached out. This is no lie. And now to segue into how did I get the money, Rodney, this is your favorite part.
Yeah, how did you get the money, sir?
How did I get the money to do that first awards show 35 years ago in LA? Well, I came up with the idea out of meditation. And I shopped that idea around in Hollywood. Stop laughing, Art. I shopped that idea around in Hollywood for about a year and a half, going to different producers, directors, and agents, and everybody was telling me, "Oh, it's a great idea, but we just don't think people would watch anything like that." And I knew better. I said, "Hey, y'all watch white folk copy us. Why not get the original thing?" So I said, okay. Now they kind of teed me off. But what they did not know is that I had a skill. And that skill was I have a way with
pipe slanging. I'm sorry.
I have a way with women. And after shopping that idea around for about a year and a half, I went into my little meditating state for about a good 10 hours. And I came up with an idea of how to get the money I needed to do that first show. That first show cost me back then, over 35 years ago, about almost $1 million. So I went back into my old profession, which I was a professional courtesan. Now, the word courtesan is a fast word for saying I was a high-paid, glorified gigolo. Professional
companion.
companion. And I started targeting every producer, every director, and every agent that turned me down. All of them had wives and girlfriends. Now, I'm not proud of this, but hey, I had to, you do what you got to do.
Oh my
Point
God.
A to point B.
That is
And in
dastardly.
1 year and 2 months' time, I raised over $500,000 to do that first show. And I'm talking about the whole production. I had the production truck, the sound, a full camera shoot. I had everything. Now, I did not have enough money. I didn't raise enough money to pay everybody off. Therefore, the original film was kept by the film crew because I didn't have the other $500,000 to give them, to give it to me. But they did give me excerpts from that first show. And I do have excerpts from that show, and it's playing on Facebook. But that's how I raised the money. I raised that money in a year, in 1 month or 2 months' time. And we did that damn show. And I don't think that's too funny. Rodney, I put a lot of work into that.
Literal work. Stroke work.
Absolutely.
But
Now,
Sir Frank,
Yes,
I
sir.
think you skipped a step. Now that's how you came back. Did I say that word? But that's how you got back into business. But how did you originally get started into business?
Oh, my Lord. Okay, Lee, this is going to blow your mind.
I'm not selling any secrets.
I can't name names, but
Correct.
I started in Atlanta, Georgia. And it actually started by at the time.
Hey, everybody, call your friends because you want to hear this right here.
Okay. I started at the time with a very high profile. It started out with a very high profile politician's wife. I was at a victory party. I'm not going to get into
From
details.
Atlanta.
I'm not going to get into details because you guys will figure out who I'm talking about. I can't do that. But anyway, it started out at a victory party at the Hyatt Regency on Peachtree Street. A lady was there that had been drinking quite a bit. And they asked me, because I worked on the campaign as well, they asked me if I would take her to her room and sit with her until she calmed down a little and bring her back down to the party. Well, I did that.
He calmed it down.
I calmed her down. But I had to.
She was hysterical.
But I took her there, and in the room, white people are some very curious people. That's why you see them getting half eaten up by animals and wild animals and all that, because they got to go and check things out. So curiosity got the best of her, and she says, "Is it true that black men
That's right.
are blessed?"
That's right,
And
Chuck
I said-
Berry.
And
Come
I
on,
said,
Chuck Berry.
I said, well, I don't know what you call blessed, but I think I can stand on my own. And she said, I'd like to see it. And it turned into, if you show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Come on.
Well, she showed me hers. I showed her mine. And before you know it, she wanted to test drive the chocolate vehicle.
Because you can't see and not touch. We can't see and not touch.
And after she had the time of her life, about a good hour,
Woo! Good
I took her
Lord.
back down.
And she still made it back to the party. You blew her out like
I took her back down to the party.
wobbling.
She told another politician at the time, high profile, she told his wife that night, and the next day I get a call from her saying, "Can you meet us at such and such place? I have a friend that would like to have that experience." And I went, I gave them the chocolate experience.
Amen.
More than I had anticipated in money. And I said, well, damn. And that's how things started.
But see, that's not money though, brother Cooper, right? You don't get no money for that. You don't lay that type of pipe and then ask for money. The money would be secondary. That's influence pipe right there.
No,
that's
ma'am.
That's that. No, ma'am.
Not back then.
I don't bring. I never brought the plumbing tools out of the toolbox until money was in hand.
Shut the hell up, man.
Absolutely. And from there, word of mouth started.
Did you say word of mouth?
Word of mouth started. And from there, it started going across the country. And then women started flying me to different places to come and meet with them. I mean, very high profile people. I'm not making that up. Highly high profile people. And before you know it, I was making a hell of a lot of money, and I still maintained the job. So, and I was married at the time too. So the wife would ask me, "Well, what did you do to do this?" And I'm like, "Hey, baby, hey, just accept what it is that I'm bringing." You really don't need to ask me where it's coming from. So, and I kept it like that. And but that's how it started. And I gave it up because AIDS came on the scene. And when you got a handle on AIDS, this was after AIDS had been kind of ratified or whatever, controlled. That's when I went out to LA to stay and came up with the idea and took it from there. Now, I have been with a lot of high profile women that you all have seen on TV, on major shows. I ain't talking about no poop, but people. I'm talking about heavy people. I'm sure you've heard of a TV show called Falcon Crest. I'm sure you heard of a TV show called Dallas. I'm sure you've heard of a TV show called, what was that other one? The Hotel.
Knots Landing.
Dallas.
Oh, didn't make it to Knox, but
Okay.
a lot of actresses know my
Dallas.
body well, very well.
Dynasty.
A lot of actors knows my body quite well.
Okay, you got me. Okay, please, can we back up? Can we back up a little bit? I'm sorry. I'm so
Back that
sorry.
ass up.
You got you. I'm the one with the IEP plan. So you got to go slow and give me a little bit. So here's the deal.
Yes.
You take the lady upstairs.
Yes.
Did you already know for real that you was finna get, like, how do you broker your first exchange? I'm gonna call it, because they call it tricks on the street, right?
Go.
But not a trick.
You go.
I call it, how did you broker your like, how did you say to yourself, this is gonna be some $5,000 dick tonight? Are you know what I'm saying?
No, it didn't start out like that. I actually went up to actually sit with her. She was the one that brought her curiosity got the best of her. And it was going to be just going to be just straight up pipe laying for me.
Right. So how did you monetize it? Like, because I used to hope for influence.
Well,
so I was trying to figure out how you convert. How do you, in your heart, did she say, "Baby, I got 7 on the dresser, 700 on the dresser"?
When things were done, she said, "Here, take this." And I think at the time she gave me $500, and I was like kind of shocked. I was like, "Damn, okay." And then the next day, when a friend called, I got with both of them the next day, and shit that turned into almost $1,500. And I was like, "Damn!" Then I told a friend of mine.
Oh, hold on. That was both of them in one shot, or that was
that was
different
both of them
times?
in one shot. Yeah. Now, I've talked about this. There used to be one of the first talk shows on TV back in the day. It was called the Phil Donahue Show. Okay. Now, I went on Phil Donahue's show to talk about my life as a professional cortisone. And I used to have a charge chart after I got
pay what you weigh. Come on, baby.
Yes. I used to have a charge chart. And I remember Phil, I could not find that film. I used to have that CD that show.
You got a witness right here.
Absolutely. And I used to have a charge chart. And for different acts, I would charge different prices for different things.
Hold on. Stop. You said for different acts. So what were your service levels?
I'm gonna tell you, when you gotta pick a big bitch up against a wall, that's an extra $500 immediately.
Oh, sweetheart.
If I got to,
it's amazing you said that.
Big fat ass up against.
It's amazing you said that.
If I gotta deal with you pulling your hair out. If I got to deal with rubbing cream all on your back, old bitch,
I would tell you.
If I got,
it's amazing that you said that, because I did have an experience like that with a woman that weighed about 500 pounds.
Ooh.
And I will tell you, she was an heir of that. It's still, I guess it still exists, but she was an heir to a tire company, a major tire company.
Was it Michelin Blimp, was it?
No, it wasn't the Michelin Blimp. No.
Hey, man, don't do that, man. But this is what I'm saying. When I'm talking about because she'd have thrown your back out and you couldn't have paid no more money. You know what I'm saying?
I will tell you, that was when I made it to the room and saw what I was going to have to deal with. It blew my mind, because I'd never been with somebody that big before, and I didn't know how I would be able to get the tools into the box.
So there was an upcharge?
You could put it that way. There's a way to handle big women like that. And that way you have to you have to come at them. You can't lay them down on their back because you've got too much stomach that's overlapping things. And so you have to go at them from the other way,
It's literally like the
backside.
same strategy they use to like a medical technician. I know I hate to sound crass, but
Absolutely.
you got to come at them like you moving them for medical purpose.
Well,
Bye, y'all.
That's true.
Well, he was giving her a medicine.
Well, she did get an examination, but I did the way I handled that. First of all, I had to go into my mental state of mind and replace the body I was dealing with a body that I would be very attracted to in order to get myself situated to where is it I could handle the business. And what I wound up doing is we were in this big old suite that had a dining room and all that, and I figured it out. I said, "Oh my God, there's some chairs, so I know how I'll handle this." And what I did, I wound up taking.
Did you erect the scaffolding?
Oh, brother. I wound up taking her stomach, putting it over the back of the chair, and you still had girth from her thighs hanging down on the back of her thighs. So you have to walk up on her and take both your hands like this and push all that girth all the way back up on her back, and then you get to work. And when I was done, that woman tipped me $1,000.
Yeah, that was a definite mercy fuck. That was fantastic. You are a kind soul.
And she called me about 3 weeks later and wanted to see me again, but I never saw her again. It was just too much work.
That's too much work. That wasn't worth it.
It was too much work. Yeah. It's too
Okay,
much
but again, like, because you talked about this chart, so I'm curious. What were your service levels? Like, did you do it like a massage, like half an hour, 45 minutes, hour?
No, it was the act. It was whatever act. And for example, I'm just going to give you an example. Some white women, not all, but a lot of them are fascinated by chocolate meat. Some of them like to massage chocolate meat before they get into things. Well, a massage, if that's all you wanted to do, that would start at about $200 back then. Okay. If you wanted massage and you wanted to use your mouth, that was another $50. If you wanted to use your breast, that was another $50. If you wanted penetration, it jumped up to about $800 just for penetration.
Let me get this right. Was this early 80s?
This was in the 70s. We talking about the start of it. We talking about the start.
$800 in the 70s?
Yeah, we talking about when I started. Yes, you have to understand, these were very rich people married to rich ass racist husbands. Okay, and all this stuff very secretly. I mean, very secretive. You know, that stuff wouldn't get out. But anyway, if you wanted what I used to call around the world, that would cost you somewhere north of about $1,500 back in the day. I made a hell of a lot of money.
What is around the world?
Around the world.
Around the world is massage. Using your meat to massage all parts of the body, including the feet, including your throating the meat. I did everything except backdoor. I was not a backdoor man. I could not do that.
Even with the condom?
Even with a condom, I couldn't do it. Mentally, I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was asked to do that on several occasions, and I told him I just don't do that. That's the only thing that I didn't do. But everything else, you wanted me to spank you, you had to. I had a system. If you wanted me to spank you, Miss White Lady, I will spank you, but you're going to sign a piece of paper saying that this is something that you agreed to have.
Yeah, that's right. We ain't coming back with no bullshit. That's right.
Because, you're not going to say that I beat the shit out of you. And so, white women are sadistic like that. They really are. Some of them do like to get spanked, and I'm not into spanking, but hey, if you want me to whoop your ass, so be it. Hell, I think about all the whoopings my ancestors.
It ain't just them. We had a
Well,
lady on who said that her white clientele, do you remember Lee? The lady we had on, she said that some of her white clientele, her men, they like to be spanked by
yes,
her. That's part of their relief from the system.
yeah,
And then she added that a lot of the young black males that she visits with required pegging. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely a part of their therapy or whatever.
a
And
lot of
so
black men.
a lot of her young black male clients, I asked her 2 times. I said, what had happened? Because I told you I had to get that double up if I hear something that I don't have a processing for. I
Yeah.
said, what had happened? She said, a good portion of her young black male clients
Uh-huh.
require pegging as part of their therapeutic time. And so that's when you say that you have to hit, sometimes you would have to hit white people
Uh-huh.
in order as part of their therapy. I
Yes.
believe that is in the same vein of psychology. There's
Yes.
some latent buried reality that they feel guilty for, or they have an affinity for, or that they cannot, you cannot hardly get it any other place without exposing so much of yourself. So being able to come to you and be hit,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Or pay you just to service you, because
Absolutely.
it's because people thinking they're listening to us, but they're not hearing what you're saying. They think you were out there putting in a lot of work,
Oh yeah.
but a good portion of your time was spent people attempting to service you,
True. Very true.
wanting to, please tell me, please
Very
daddy,
true.
tell me what can
Very
I
true.
do for you? What do you want?
Very
I'll
true.
do anything. That's not, like you say, when you get paid for the privilege of sucking my penis,
Hmm.
that's a different act than it's different. So I don't know if they're listening the way they should to what you're saying. Y'all
Hmm.
think he was back behind there in them alleys messing with them
No.
scruff ass white bitches.
Oh
No,
no.
that's not what he said.
Oh no.
He said there are people who were paying him for the
Yes.
privilege to touch him, and
Absolutely.
that's the service. So people, when they hear that, they fantasize. They got it. They watch Pretty Woman, and they done
Absolutely.
watched Male Gigolo
American
Bigalow,
Gigolo. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and they've watched all this cinema, and so, but they still have not processed that person to person transaction behavior and who is given, who is vulnerable, who
Yes.
has the power, who,
Now
you know.
I will tell you something else. See, when I hear brothers talking about brothers sit up bragging about, they can do this and they've been with this and they've been with that. Well, I will tell you, all the women, if you are a gigolo, you are catering to the sexual desires and needs of whatever woman you're dealing with. Whoever's willing to pay you, you've got to get your mind mental and strong enough to be able to deal with all kinds of women. All the women I dealt with, they weren't movie stars. All the women I dealt with were not good looking women. Some of these women were ugly, but they had money. These people had money. There were 2 or 3 women I dealt with that was handicapped. And I remember getting into a situation. This woman was built like a brick house, and I had no idea that she had prosthetic breast until we jumped in bed, and that came off, and I went to go in to kiss her breast, and my lips just slipped right off her chest, and I'm like, damn, and it shocked me for a quick 2 seconds, and I snapped out of it and went on and took care of business. So it ain't as glamorous as people think it is. And when I hear men talking that junk about, well, I had this woman, there's a movie out with Steve Martin and the guy from England. Oh my God, called Dirty Rotten Scoundrel. Okay, I don't know.
Mhm.
Michael Caine. Michael Caine.
Yeah, Michael Caine. Okay, Michael Caine was a high-profile courtesan, just like I was. Steve Martin was a low-level, trying to be gigolo. Well, Steve Martin thought that if he got a woman to buy him lunch, he got over. And he bragged about it. He had his chest puffed out. When Michael Caine was taking these women for millions of dollars, hundreds, thousands of dollars for one whack. And there were times also, too, gigolo and just doesn't consist of just sex. there were times when I would go out with women or meet women, and all they wanted to do was to talk about their husbands, just to talk, how frustrated they were with their husbands or what they didn't like about their husbands. And things like that, since I wasn't getting anything out of it, no pleasure, shit. Now we talking, you want me to sit down and listen to you complain about your husband, then hey, that's $2,000. And that was back then. So that money now, I mean, and this is why I was
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, back then it was. And this is why I've been able to live a very comfortable life. I mean, I remember one of my clients bought me a beautiful, beautiful white Rolls Royce. Just showed up at my door on my birthday. Absolutely beautiful. I remember driving a very well-to-do white woman at the time, high profile, that I got to keep her Bugatti for a whole damn week. A Bugatti back in those days, and those cars was very rare. And I got pictures of this stuff. Everything that I'm telling you guys, it can be backed up with pictures and everything else. So I'm one of those. Mm-hmm.
Please finish your thought, but I have a couple.
I'm one of those. I'm one of those that if it come out of my mouth, I can damn near back it up with videotape. I also have videotapes of me. I had videotapes of me and some major movie stars together in orgies. I mean, I've done all that.
So my questions are: you started off with you were married when you started in this.
Yeah.
How did your wife react?
Yes.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. How did your wife react?
My wife really didn't know about that. All she knew is I was making a hell of a lot of money.
Okay.
See, back in the day, for you young people, for you young men that think you are players and want to be players, back then, men pretty much took care of the family. And back then, your wife didn't really question you about how you were taking care of your family. As rent is due, food is on the table, she's driving a nice car, she's dressing good, you're looking good, then hey, they didn't usually question you too much about that unless you were just blatantly just showing out. Well, see, I had a very low profile simply because I was married, I was Black, and all my clientele were white, Asian, or of other races. Now, I only dealt with one Black woman. I only gigoloed one Black woman. And the only reason why I dealt with her is simply because she thought she was white. She had a lot of white friends, very well-to-do Black woman. As a matter of fact, she lived in a little place called, I want to say LJ, Georgia. Is there a place called LJ, Georgia? But anyway, she came up to Atlanta with her bougie self, and her white girlfriend introduced me to her. And because she had that attitude, she was married to a white guy. And I remember telling her, okay, I think I charged her more than I normally charge everybody else because she was married to a white guy. And that didn't rub me the right way. And I knew that she had not been piped down like she should have been for quite some years. So the chocolate tube came out, and she almost got hooked on her brother because she would call me damn near constantly, wanting to see me. And I just said, no, I'm not doing it anymore.
Gotcha. So what did you learn about love from your interactions with these women, be it physical or, like you said, just spending time with them, listen to them talk about their husbands? What did you learn about love?
Love is an emotion. It can be a positive emotion and it can be a negative emotion. Now, you are talking to a man that's been married 7 wonderful times to 7 fantastic women. And I did not plan it that way, but all the women I married was pretty much of a different race and a different ethnicity. Okay. And everybody 7 times. And everybody I married, the first 6 got 5 years or 50,000 miles, whatever showed up first. All right. My 7th marriage that I have now is the first marriage I've had, and we are coming up on 14 years this month.
Congratulations.
Absolutely, lady. I mean, they were all fantastic women, but I also had a very active libido. I could not. My problem was I could not keep my zipper up. So I married women out of pretty much lust as opposed to love, because a lot of people get those two confused. Love is an emotion, lust is a physical desire. And when you fall in love with someone, your heart is involved, because those people can make you not eat if things go wrong. They can invoke a diet plan that you had no intentions of doing, or they can make you cry. And there have been times when I've had my heart broken to where is it I've shedded some tears. And this is what a real man has gone through. When you hear a brother sit up and say, well, I wouldn't cry over no woman, that's bullshit, because you've never been in love. Because when you are in love, brother, trust me, your emotions will have you on a roller coaster if you allow that woman to treat you that way. And it just so happens that my first wife, all my wives, I loved them dearly. I just had a sexual desire problem. I couldn't control my sex drive.
So let's go back for a half a second.
My sex drive was so bad. My sex drive was so bad that I had to tell 3 of my wives, whatever you do, do not let your mother or your sister come to this house if you ain't here. That's how bad.
Dang. You sound like one of my uncles. But anyhow, let's go back to a little bit, because you said that you dealt with women of different ethnicities except for one.
Yes.
Specifically, why did you choose to do that?
Why did I chose to do that? Because well, first of all, it was damn good money. And secondly, I enjoyed sex. And if I'm going to get paid for doing something I thoroughly enjoy, and the reason why I didn't deal with too many sisters, because sisters was catching hell anyway. This was before all these professional black women became professionals and they don't need a man and all that. This was before all that came about. And sisters was already catching hell. So why would I take from my sisters when white women are willing to give me more than what I needed to and satisfy me and keep me straight?
Gotcha. Last question I have before I let Rashi come in, because I know she over there just brewing, waiting to jump in. Did anyone ever call you a nigger in the fit of passion?
Absolutely.
Of course they did.
Not only that, but these women, a lot of them would live out their black fantasies. Guys, let me tell you something. White women and black men, the reason why they get along so well with black men and the reason why they give us so much is because there is an innate desire for something that they were forbade to use or to have. And when you got your father telling you, you better not touch that over there, even though he's going down to the shack where the slaves were, and he was laying pipe on all the damn women, all the women of color, but he forbade his women to even look at a black man. Okay. And these women desired that. Even right to this day, honest to God, I am 72 years old and I'm a limo driver. I pick up women and they still give me or want to give me the keys to their room to come to their house, to come to their hotels when I get off from work. And I'm like, no. You see this woman right here? I'm married to this woman. Those days are gone. I don't do that no more. But if I were young, man, please. Plumber on wheels.
Pipe ready.
Okay.
Now we have heard Brother Rodney has typed in a portfolio of questions for us, but we have a particular member who has not said one word, and I just want to know, Brother Barry. Brother Barry.
Minneapolis.
I think he's working.
Vice President. I can't be.
Yeah, he's working.
Okay.
I represent folks, and I just wouldn't be comfortable sitting with them folks after having this conversation. But salute to
there you go.
What are you doing for sure?
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, the work is what it has to be. I hate, Brother Rodney Lee, that we discuss it in salacious terms, because in actuality, Sir Cooper, you were a therapist. You were
Yes.
a traveling
Yes.
uh I mean, if we were in Denmark, if we were in in the Netherlands or
Yes.
whatever,
Yes.
you would it's not that there. In other places, where in India either even there is an actual sociological place for
Mm-hmm.
the person whose work is to atone for the for the lust,
Mm-hmm.
the internal lust, which is your basic human it's basic. It's part of the, I call it the lizard brain. It's not executive functioning. The need that you helped those people with is not it was way deep into their brainstem of reasoning. And
Mm-hmm.
if we don't do, and I say we because I too have been trained. I have been
Okay.
trained
Okay.
um to entertain, you know, let's just say you were real kind with it, but I'm a reformed hoe, right? I'm a
Okay.
reformed hoe, and but not a prostitute, but
Mm-hmm.
someone who you could take to a fairly high end party who would
Absolutely.
still know about stock market this and
Absolutely.
be able to chat and ha ha ha
Absolutely.
tell a funny joke here, and we're not talking, and they reduce the work down to what happens in the bed. But
Absolutely.
please understand, people, that there was a whole realm of reality that has nothing to do with any genitals that you had to do in order to
Absolutely.
get yourself profitable in the act of being a companion or a courtesan to lonely people who feel for whatever reason
Yes.
that they cannot do the game that we're all out here assuming to play. I'ma find me somebody. They
Yeah.
didn't gave up on I'ma find, or they got it,
Absolutely.
or they found them somebody, right,
Absolutely.
Brother Cooper? And they
Absolutely.
found them lacking in some
Absolutely.
reality, found them lacking in their interest in themselves,
Parts of their lives they are not
parts of
fulfilled in.
they're
That's right.
not fulfilling. And so what you did is you said, but I want you to honestly say to us, don't hold back, because eventually that dick got chafe.
But
You know what I'm saying?
I want to ask the young man that has not had too much to say. And my question to you, what was your name again, sir? What was his name, young
Thomas
man? That just
Berry.
Thomas,
Thomas.
Thomas Boy, what's up?
Thomas.
Yeah.
Thomas, Mr. Berry, I'd like to ask the question. Now, you say you deal with certain people in a certain, shall we say, income bracket. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Those people have the same desires as a person living in the ghetto. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've dealt with women, multi-millionaire women. Okay.
Right.
And I don't give a darn how high you are on that damn food chain. It
Mm-hmm.
does not matter. When it comes to sex, the higher you are up on that ladder, the more kinkier sex that you want to have, because you have access to have anything that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time, these are the people that request the most ridiculous shit that you would ever think of.
Mm-hmm.
Give you an example. I met a woman, high profile. This woman lusted for some chocolate pipes so bad, she put me in a position to where is that I didn't have a condom. And I asked this woman, have you picked up your clothes from the cleaners? She said, yeah. I said, okay. Where is it? In the closet. I go
Mm.
into the closet. I grab one of them little plastic cleaning bags and I wrap the meat up and we go to town. Now, when I finished, she wanted me to take that plastic bag and put over her face with my semen in it, smeared all over her face, and sort of smother her. And I'm saying, oh my God, hey, I can do this. But if you start to get kind of woozy, I'm done. I'm done. I'm taking the bag off your head and I'm done. You're gonna be laying here,
And
you
it's gonna be
die.
an extra $150.
Hey, brother, she paid very well. So when you are talking to people of that upper echelon, talk to them naturally, because sex is natural. Desires are natural. And there is not one person that you know or one person that you have dealt with that does not have fantasies and desires.
No, I'm
And
not. So
you just can't tell. They might even have their eyes on you.
here's the thing. I'm not knocking that whatsoever. With my pedigree and my background, I know that women do a lot of things that when people are not looking, that they are not willing to talk about.
Absolutely.
But also, sometimes when it comes to your position, when you're positioned to certain things, there's things you can't partake in because that becomes a part of the conversation. We got something serious happening in my town. Would I want to have people talking to me about your former sexual exploits or what's going on in the town?
Right.
And the fact that people will take that time because people look for convenient excuses to change the conversation.
Yes.
Now, when I go out and about, instead of talking about ICE or whatever else is going on or what other business we got going on in the town, now people who watch this stream, they're not going to talk about that. They're going to be talking about hey man, what about the chick with the laundry bag that wanted to put the bag over her face? If I participate in the conversation. It's not to be rude, it's not to be disrespectful, but I know if I don't say 5 words, then it's less for people to attach that to me, and we can get back to the business. So it's nothing to do with you, but I definitely understand that. Folks do strange things for some change, so I get it.
I understand. Okay, very well put.
We're gonna wrap this up because we do need to get to the serious business. But I, again, wanted to bring you on close to Valentine's Day so we could have this conversation. I mean, again, these are the type of things that happen. They are honest. Like you said, people have desires, and the higher they are on the perceived food chain, the more weird a lot of those desires are. I wanted to let folks in on that side of life because we talk about everything. As long as it ain't hurting kids and old people, I'm pretty cool with it. So I thank you for your time. Rodney, did you have anything for the brother before he slides out?
He's told me plenty of the stories.
Can I plug our organization?
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, if you are interested in the AHAs, please go to ITS, all one word, ITS, it's the THE, AHAs, AAHAS.com. And some of the very people that I was mentioning, you will see them receiving the award. You'll see Steve Harvey getting his first award. And you will see Dick Gregory speaking about the AHAs. Also, too, there's a documentary about me that's playing on Amazon Prime and Tubi TV. It's called Laughter Has No Color. Laughter Has No Color. Sir Frank Cooper. It's a documentary on me, and in that documentary, I do mention about how I found the money how I raised money to do that first award show. So those are 2 pieces of interesting information that you can get more information about me on if you are interested.
Yep. It also tells you how he became an aerobics instructor as well and had no damn training in being an aerobics instructor.
None at all.
Yes, none at all.
All right. Very true. Very true.
Life will throw you some curves, and it's about what you, no pun intended, well, it's about what you do with those curves when they come your way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Again, brother, thank you. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure having the conversation with you this morning. Please enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
All right. So, young lady, it was a pleasure talking to you as well. Y'all have a wonderful day.
I will be tuning. I will be going to the website. No worries.
Please do. Leave us a like if you like it. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
All right. Peace. All right. Again, wanted to have that conversation, especially as we get closer and closer to Valentine's Day.
Don't know what it has to do with love.
Well, what you mean? The brother clearly said that what he learned from his experiences is and was, love is a feeling. And you don't get caught up in that feeling all the time because it can lead you astray or to the arms of another. So you could take it as a warning sign. There's a lot of folks in this world nowadays, heterosexual relationships, same-sex relationships, whom are not doing their due diligence according to their partner or to their partner or for their partner. This may be a motivational segment to get them to understand maybe I need to pay a little more attention to my loved one to make sure that I'm not driving that person to the arms of another. So that's how you. That's right, baby. Come on now, you know me. I'm going to make it work. I'm gonna make it do what it do, baby. I'll make it do what it do. But bringing it back, so bringing it back to the other side of life, which we are living every day, as we were talking about before our guest came on, when we were discussing the walkouts or the expression of your First Amendment with the kids. We're also looking at, like, as I said earlier in the show, the real economy out here, and the real economy out here is not going eight ish as some folks would like it to. A lot of folks out here suffering as we get closer and closer to Valentine's Day as well. Please keep that in mind. You know, this ain't the time. This ain't the time to be going crazy when there's so much uncertainty in the world. This is the time potentially for us to get around and get amongst one another, to really talk to one another and build a love stronger than what we may have had, because we're exchanging, gifts. We're exchanging uh, we're changing time zones or something of that nature. We may just need to spend some time with one another to talk, make sure that our plans are still in alignment, make sure that we have a plan if the balloon bursts and we may need to evacuate. Where the hell we going? Who we're going with? What we're taking? What we're not taking? Let's make sure we actually have cash on hand, because we all know that cash on hand in an emergency situation is a necessity, not a need. Joy Reid, I saw a reel the other day when Joy Reid was talking about when you leave the country, take burner phones, because if you don't know, your phone can be scanned as you go through security. Uh, it's stuff like that, yo, that honestly we don't think about. Like, people don't talk about stuff like that. There are too many people out here that's like, yo, you just paranoid, yo. That's just crazy. Like, that doesn't happen in America. Look at all this other shit that's happening in America right now. That didn't used to happen in America either, but it's happening. A lot of what's going on right now is the veil being pulled back from what black folks, brown folks have been complaining about for decades, about the over policing of ourselves. And now it's bleeding out into the streets, the cities where it's not normal. Thomas Berry up there in Minnesota, Chris Rock's joke may have been in poor taste, which I agree it was, but you don't think about Minnesota being full of black folks. Well, there's a good number of black folks in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? But that's not some place that you think about black folks being. The fact that ICE is being so heavy handed in Minnesota, I believe, as we said earlier, someone said earlier today, is a beacon to white supremacy that, look at here, we will take you down too. And hopefully folks are paying attention to what's happening, because they may come for you next. As I said, I shared the story about the brother that got pulled over in Maine. They've already been to Chicago. They've been to California. The numbers are coming in. It's staggering how much it's costing for the deployment of the National Guard in D.C. It's almost $1 billion. No, I'm sorry, that's not true. Yeah, it's almost $1 billion. I thought it was the T, but no, the B comes before the T. It's almost $1 billion. How much it costs for them to be deployed in California? Again, $500 million. Dang near $500 million. It's close. It's really close to $1 billion in DC. It was half of $1 billion in California. How much is it costing ICE to be deployed? Think about that. And who's paying for this? Who's paying for this? We as the American citizens are paying for this. We are paying for this. Is this what we want our monies paid for? Because that money has to come from somewhere, be it education, be it infrastructure, be it um, Medicare, Medicaid. It's coming from somewhere. Something is going to suffer. Somebody is going to suffer. Somebodies are going to suffer because of the callousness of this current administration. And that that check is coming. That check is for real coming. But other than that, Rodney, I spoke to this earlier. Trump was talking about nationalizing elections. Do you think, Thomas, I want you to jump in on this too. Rashi, please be up to par. You think this is a threat, or do you think this is a threat empty and no one's really paying attention to it? Do you think this is a threat heavy that folks should be paying attention to because they really are looking to put foot or thumb on scale when it comes down to the 2026 elections, if we have the 2026 elections? Either one.
So I think that it is a threat, but it's a floater as well. And what his modus operandi seems to be is he'll throw stuff out there and see what the reaction is. And depending on the reaction, will be will determine his actions. So but it's not universal. So sometimes if he gets a lot of pushback, he won't do it. And obviously if he doesn't get much pushback, he will do it, whether then or later. And so I think it's both. I think it's a floater and I think it's a threat.
Thomas?
I think it's already done. I think people missed the boat. I think people missed the boat when they didn't pay attention to the purging of the rolls of the voter rolls.
Mm.
I think that the idea that people believe that the elections have been fair since he's got into the game is part of the problem. It's just Americans have ADHD. And as long as they know Americans have ADHD, it's just easy to control people. It's like cats with a ball of yarn. Go change that, and we'll do this over here. You really don't want the responsibility for yourself anyway.
Mm.
You don't want, let me take that off of you. I'll handle that for you. Don't worry about that. And so it's just gonna take an awakening. I went back this week and I watched The Following all over again. I was just trying to figure out Joe. And then in the midst of yesterday, I said, I shouldn't have been watching The Following. I should have been watching American Gods. Because this is what this is about.
What happened yesterday?
With Obama. We ain't even talked about it today.
I was flying at it. Keep going.
They knew we weren't going to talk about it because I watched the platforms across. It's not talked about as it should have, as it would have been 10 years ago, as if it would have been 20 years ago. They know who they're dealing with, and they know it's Super Bowl weekend. And by the time we get to Monday, we'll be talking about who Disney World. But
do you think too? Not to cut you off. I want to build where you stood before. Do you think too that less things like that are getting traction because there are fewer independent operators? When the Washington Post laid off 33% of its staff, that's a problem.
I mean, that's part of it. That's part of it. Shout out to the Miami Herald, because the Miami Herald in 1987, July 5th of 1987, they put in the newspaper about the shadow government, and people thought they were playing, and they were talking about the Iran-Contra scandal and the drug trafficking and the whole nine. This is July 5th. You could look it up. July 5th, 1987. You can Google it, shadow government, Miami Herald, and they go into details of what the administration was doing at that point. But they also put out this week, they talked about the 3 million files with the Epstein files, and they tied it into Israel. They tied it into Russia. They tied it into what it is. It's not that the information's not there. It's just, what are you distracted by? The information is plentiful. It's just, what are you distracted by? And they know how to distract us. But my point about American Gods, Obama's shadow. That's who Obama represents inside of American Gods. And I think people forget where this country was at under George W. Bush, how no one trusted this government, and how they needed Obama. Obama gave America its gold standard back. And that's who Shadow is. Shadow is the guy who's helping the old gods fight the new gods, because the new gods is technology. The new gods is Bitcoin. The new gods is social media and all of those other trappings. That's what the new gods represents. The old gods, well, that's Zeus, that's Oshra, that's all of these old things, these old gods of beliefs and principles. And if you watch it, and I said that's why he hates Obama. That's why he hates Obama so much, because Obama represents something he could never do. He can never be black. He can never unify people to do anything. He can never be trusted to do any of that. Obama's loved by his wife. He's loved by his kids. He's loved by his people. Donald Trump is none of those things. He's not considered as intelligent. He's none of those things. He's just a trickster. He's a fraudster. But Americans have aligned themselves with so many tricksters and fraudsters like Donald Trump that he's par for the course. That's why we accept him better than we would anyone else. So I would say, as far as the elections are concerned, I know we're pointing to the midterms, but I'm just shocked by us not turning up the heat on these 3 million documents, because if we follow the there's there, we could probably rid ourselves of a couple politicians and a couple president, vice presidents before then, just by Article 25 alone. But because the public is so distracted, and let me just say this one piece, the story about the 16-year-old girl, if you have not, that story, that's the story. That's the story.
The 16-year-old girl, the one with Trump?
The 16-year-old girl who was forced to have sex, and she had babies and abortions, and then the financier Black who paid Epstein 158 or 185 million from 2013 to 2018. He bit the girl on the vagina, had her bleeding. But if you check out her story and you listen to her story, and she talks about all these different people she was forced to have sex with and all the people that she saw, she's alive. She's not dead. She's alive. These stories and these people have access to keys that can liberate this country from under this oligarch reign. And I'm just saying, if people just wanted to listen, because she says it's clear what she's writing about in her journal. And so I just think that if we want the elections, we're really going to have to focus between now and March as a collective. That should be the story. He should never be able to escape that. I don't care what he does. If he throws a chair in a crowd full of people, no one should move. This guy is an operative. And I think Epstein laid it out. I think it's there for us to see. That's why there's another 3 million documents that they don't want people to see. But I think that this is clear that this is a Russian operative that's being ran on the American people. And if Americans don't get their dick out their hands, or the idea of their pussy power outside of their minds, I think that we're going to be done for. And we're going to be done for by some sycophants.
I still think he's a Mossad op, but
No,
because we've had too much loyalty to Israel, and it doesn't make any sense.
no, you got to understand the Mossad piece. If he was a Mossad opt, he would be a lot more careful. They don't deal with this level of clumsiness, but he does not get in the way, and they can use him. They can use. I don't think that he has an allegiance to Jewish folk. I think his love for Hitler and that aspect of it, I think that's just where he at. But not with the Mossad. But the Mossad knows how to manipulate him. The Mossad has information on him, and he has to play ball, because if he does not, then the Mossad will drop that. They would drop that information somehow. We would wake up to it if he ever crossed them. So he knows not to cross them, but that's how Epstein had his hooks in him, right? You remember, it's Epstein who was upset about the Russian financier who gave him the money. But The Mossad was the one that was helping produce the girls. So they were feeding
Mm.
his fix. So it's not that he's a Mossad operative. It's just the Mossad knew what drug to deal with him. And they knew that he had sexual perversions, like they knew about the Russians in the golden shower. They knew about him sucking off the horse Bubba. See, those are the sexual perversions that this guy has. But once again, a lot of it is about our focus on what it is, because he'll do enough things, whether it's us focusing on what he did with the Obamas. Next week, I think the next big story after this will be Savannah Guthrie's mom, and also her family's connection to the Epsteins, which is a connection, because Savannah Guthrie in 2018, she interviewed someone that they did not want her to interview. According to the Epstein files, she interviewed somebody that they didn't want on television. So
Mm.
those it's just a lot that's going on here, and a lot of people being silenced at one time. But we'll see how it shakes out. But
Okay.
see why she got to get in so she can say her piece.
Yeah, I was going here
Hey, look.
next.
Hey, look. I'm still kind of stuck on old boy with the 500-pound girl on the two chairs with her stomach dripping. So I'm gonna try to get myself back to right here. I'm literally visually stuck on that work. But let me tell you what was interesting to me this week about this whole, is he an operative? Are we under some kind of weird siege from another country where other, are we coming, are somebody coming in on America, right? And using Trump as the scapegoat. And how the only thing that caught my attention with that was the initiation of the Epstein investigations in other countries. Have y'all heard about this? How other countries are taking on the Epstein
I know the UK
scandal,
is.
right? And it's so many that it almost stinks of an alliance of other European countries to create a anti-Trump, but then also, unfortunately, anti-American um, investigation on how we operate within their country based on blah blah blah. You seeing it with Tesla, right? They say they came in on your boy Elon, and in France that is, and they dug all in his paperwork to make sure that um, because he's in there, right? He's in the file. So since they're using the files as a foundation of investigation to see if they can do other shit. But so I just thought that was interesting, that it starts off as what's up with these, molestation, sexual exploit type, pedophilia, blah 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 blah, human trafficking type behavior, but it opens up uh, investigation into the entire reality of whoever they go after, be it Elon or uh, it's a couple of other people. What do you say? Weiss, some lawyer named Weiss. It's like four or five other people who, when they saw their names in those files, it triggered not just a national, but an international investigation into these people. And I do believe that it's going to be like that foot in the door. You heard of the foot in the door. As long as your toe is in the door, you cannot close the reason of communication. And I believe these files are going to be the foot in the door in the destruction of our current administration. So I'm just interested mostly uh, whether or not he's an agent or not. You remember what I said, Lee? They all agents for real. Like
Mm.
I don't believe in non um, agent politicians. I don't believe in. They all got money. They all got it's a have and have nots. I really don't even believe in Republican and Democrat for real, and I'm getting less and less convinced that I should when I see us pardoning and reinvesting and doubling down on the budgets for shit like ICE and stuff. So the only thing that really gave me hope this week was those international investigations into the Epstein files that could lead forth information that we could even use for impeachment here on domestic soil. And there was one other thing. Oh dang, I said it, but I forgot it just that quick. I'm sorry, I'm
It's
getting
okay.
old.
We get
But
old. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting old, baby. I'm getting old. I hate to say it, and them kids wore me thin. I want to thank you all. Today's show to me was fantastic. And Thomas, I'm sorry if you felt like the conversation was too salacious to add to your portfolio today. But I want to tell you, he was somewhat right. The people, some of them people you dealing with in high places, they like it. They like it. They ready spaghetti. And
I,
so you just gotta hear that
Rashi,
there's many
Rashi,
sides to the human
Rashi,
psyche. Just
Rashi,
hear that.
Rashi. I participated in things that will make you and him cringe.
Oh shit!
Listen,
Don't
listen,
get me to don't get
and
me to.
I'm not talking on the sexual level neither. So that
Oh,
so that type of stuff to me doesn't necessarily bother me. It's not about that. It's just about the idea of I want to make sure that I'm not selfish enough
not being yeah.
that a conversation is about what I participated in versus what's going on at the
What's
time.
going on? All right. Well, Brother Barry, I can't tell you I wasn't wanting your opinion. I always look forward to all you brothers. Every week I make sure I don't have to listen to that many black men actually, other than my son and my uncle. So I look forward to hearing y'all's opinion. And I'm hoping this next week will be nice and warm. Well, I guess not warm because it's wintertime, but at least warm enough for y'all to sustain yourselves. And Brother Barry, if you can get a chance to get an autograph or get up close to Brother Malik Shabazz, I mean, it's right. Is it Malik? Brother Shabazz. Is it Malik? I'm saying that right, right?
Zulu Shabazz.
Malik Zulu Shabazz. He is one of my current. I have an eye on that brother. He's. I have a really close eye on that brother. I do believe he's an element of change. I do believe he's not just a mouthpiece. And so I noticed that from your postings that you're going to be in
Russia,
his.
you got a crush?
I ain't gonna
You
say that. I
got a
don't be
crush
playing. I
on
don't be playing. No, that baby kid. He's a baby now. I'm an old ass lady. That's a baby. But anyway,
him?
but he's doing the real work. He's got a pretty high profile. He's not. He's willing to, and he's got the name that people can get behind. People understand what the Shabazz means. People know what a Shabazz is.
Yeah.
And so please, Brother Barry, do not hesitate to share the information or whatever that you gather from being in his company. If you do get a chance to really talk to Brother Shabazz, if you can, that is definitely the kind of information Real Radio needs to broadcast, and 12 watch as well. So, brothers, I'll just finish out the show listening.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. You said something though, Rashi, as you listen about the participation of the Republicans and Democrats. I'm sitting around trying to figure out why Schumer was playing so nice with Trump and and the Republicans in general about the authorization for funding. And I'm like, why the hell is Schumer going so hard against the House? And then it hit me. I'm scrolling and I see something about the tunnel. And I was like, holy how did I not connect those two things? So you're looking at the tunnel project, which Trump has been holding hostage on the low. He said something about it months ago that he would hold up funding for it. And ever since then, Schumer has been shucking and jiving the plate up to Trump, getting the Senate members in line to vote for basically whatever the hell Trump wanted.
Yeah.
Well, the House was like, yeah, we ain't feeling that. We ain't doing it. So that's been the contention. Well, Trump killed the funds for the tunnel project. They didn't go through.
Hmm.
So what is he going to do now? And again, I understand it from Schumer's perspective because these are real jobs from people for people in his district. I get it. This is a need for New York. It really is a need for New York. Yo, if you've never traveled, if you've never driven in New York, don't. Let's be clear about that. Just don't do it. You ain't ready. But if you have, we need this project, right?
Hmm.
So I get it. But yeah, agent, I do still hold that he is. I can see where you all think it's more of Russia than Mossad. I still say it's Mossad. I think his ass was just sloppy. But to be honest with you, but again, I look at our ties to Israel and they don't make sense. Like it just doesn't make any freaking sense. Israel makes us less safe because of Netanyahu, then they do make us safe with Netanyahu. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that we have supported Netanyahu time and again, knowing this, is the point that gives me pause. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
if you broke
Like,
down what it was, they would say that you were anti-Semitic.
absolutely.
And I think that's part of the issue why people don't see the connection of why so many governments bow to the will of Israel. It has nothing to do with the nation state itself. It has something to do with financier. That also has something to do with intelligence collecting. You know, you got to think about the story. I think that I saw it online when they said that they killed the dude. They killed the guy in a hotel, and they said there was no signs that they even entered into the room. Like, they have so much intertwined with our technology that we have special chips and cell phones where they can listen to Americans more than the CIA can. They've been running operations. And so they don't have to. Here's the thing, they don't have to own him. You just own the people that own him. And then that
Yeah.
you own him. And so I don't think that based off of his training and his allegiance, there's no showing that he was ever under the Mossad. Talking about Trump. But with Epstein was, the taking of the God who took Epstein under, and why Epstein was looked at, and the information that he was peddling and what he was dealing and things of that nature. Trump, on the other hand, is a little bit different, and you got to remember his father's ties to Hitler. And then you got to also remember Trump's. I mean, think about it. Why would someone be fascinated and say that they got ties with Israel when they openly have told people that Hitler was his hero? So, the only book that owns Mein Kampf, right? And so I'm just saying, there's just certain things about him. And like I said, you don't have to own him if you own the people that own him. And with him being a sexual deviant, it's just easier to own him through his sexual appetite. And you know what they say for the goyim, he does things goyim. He's goyim. So they don't look at him as one of them. They look at Epstein as one of them, but Trump is, you saw what David Stern said. Why you gonna have me waiting out there? I don't know if you read that part in the Epstein files when he told Epstein I'll be waiting out for something. He said that's for the goyim. I don't wait. And a lot of high profile Jewish men have been saying that a lot inside of these documents when they're referring to non-Jewish folks as goyim, and which means you're less than. So I just think it's an interesting time. But look, here's the truth of the matter. He's the president that America has earned, because if you look at everything, think about how they're treating citizens with ICE. And this all started back with the Patriot Act. When they first established the Patriot Act, they said that the forefathers would be considered as terrorists under the Patriot Act.
Yep.
And that was talked about in the early 2000s. So anybody that's standing for their rights, and I know Rodney had said something about Vegas and the Black Panthers. I really didn't go into it much, but I was thinking about the brother that I think Rodney had posted his video, the young guy from Philadelphia, who now is talking that he's with the Black Lions. He was an agent, clear as day. And but when you see these guys pop up, no different than Leader J. These guys are agents. That these guys come because they'll say salacious enough stuff for white people to put them on a terrorist list. So when he says he's going to shoot a hole through an ICE agent, that is considered a threat. And if he says he's with the Black Panthers, now anybody that's associated with the Black Panthers have done what? Right?
Become terrorists because they're associated with him.
Right. And he he comes out of nowhere saying this, and then he's also pushed up the leadership board as the leader of the Philadelphia Black Panthers. And then when the pushback comes and he says, oh, he's not a part of them, then he says, oh, forget it. Well, I ain't a part of the Panthers now. I'm a part of the Black Lions. You know, we create this club. We're not Panthers. We're just Black Lions now. So it's just interesting watching how all of this plays out. And I don't know if I told you guys about our event that we did with the NAACP president, but the guy who was in the video that was helping the white dude who was getting beat up in downtown Minneapolis, he showed up to our meeting and he was quite disruptive during our meeting. And he was asking questions not to get answers, but to be argumentative. And so agents are real. I want people out there to understand that agent provocateurs are real. They are on Facebook, they are on Instagram. I see some of the conversations that people are intertwined in with certain Black folks, and I'm like, do not entertain yourself with that person. I know that Facebook has given us this dopamine addiction where we feel like we got to get that last word in and we got to explain this to this person. We got to do that. No, there's Black folks who found a back door on how to get paid, and they don't mind using you to get you put into a possible database to get you knocked off the board. So be mindful of your engagements, because I have minds and I just won't engage with just anybody anymore. I'm done with that.
Rodney, what you got as we close out?
They're coming at us. They're coming after Black people, and Black people need to find their place in the struggle. Whatever that is for Black people need to find it. And Black people, you won't be able to do it by yourself. We just won't be able to do it. Find your place, find your crew, and prepare yourselves, prepare your family, because it's not coming, it's here.
Gotcha. Well, my final words are, again, as I said earlier, make sure that you are prepared for whatever's to come. This is the time to really sit down with your family, your loved ones, and make plans. Because if it goes left, it's going to go left really freaking fast. It's going to go left really freaking. Well, yes, Roddy. Before you even finish that, more left than what it already is. Then it's going to it's going to be even faster than what we've seen. Um, the courts are going back and forth. He still controls the Supreme Court. Someone asked me that the other day, like, and again, this goes back to what I said. Most of us can't even wrap our minds around this. Well, there's supposed to be checks and balances. You're absolutely right. But when the same party is in power, there's no check or balances. When the same party is in power and they are all in alignment, there's no checks and balances, dog. Right now, Johnson's lead is 1 seat. He has a 1 seat majority in the House. Another Republican decided to retire. He's the 29th Republican saying he's not going to run for re-election. That's not enough. The Democrats can come back into power in the House, but they can't make any real change. They're just in the House. You're looking at if they impeach him again, he can't be removed because they don't have the Senate in order to enforce the impeachment. Even if they had the Senate, would he listen and would he take heed to whatever ruling they pass through? Who knows? As you said, Thomas, he has amassed his private army in the form of border control, in the form of ICE agents. That's a private freaking army right about now, who have no one to listen to but him. He is their director, the Secretary of Homeland, but he's the overseer of the Secretary of Homeland. So, okay, yes, yeah, Rodney, you're right. Correct, Department of Corrections as well. Yes,
but I will say this, Lee. I do want to say this
go.
because Rashi had brought up people overseas. I thought she was going to go there, but she didn't arrive at this point. They are pushing back on American tech companies. They're pushing them out of their countries. Google will not be in certain countries coming soon. Neither will Meta, neither will X, neither will be a lot of the technologies that have put America inside of a glass dome. And I want people to watch for that, because I know a lot of folks, they feel like they're winning in the investment place. But when you see these companies get pushed out of these countries, and you start seeing these indictments roll out on an international scale because of some of these criminal efforts. Everyone else is not sleeping on Epstein. I brought up last week what they did inside of the UK with Prince Andrew. They wasted time. And as these
None.
names unravel, and you see these names, and trust me, they said the Democrats next week get to go and actually look at the documents physically. Now, when people can go physically look at the documents, and keep in mind, some of these documents are still in the Epstein estate as well. When this stuff comes out and names actually get named, man, it's going to be a lot of tumbling. But I'll say it again, watch American Gods. If you guys can get a chance to watch it, that's what this is all about. I watched The Following,
Go
but
to
then
Tubi.
I
Go
had
to
to go
Tubi.
back and I had to watch American Gods all over again, and you'll understand in every aspect of it of what this is all about from A to Z.
Uh,
And
Brother Barry, I do want to say one thing before you go. You were right to watch The Following, but there was something you didn't see that you saw that you didn't see. In The Following, Joe Carroll he was surprised often by his sycophants. There were workings going on sometimes that Joe Carroll didn't even know about.
oh, I
And
see.
he would find out about it and he would have to decide whether or not it aligned with his major plan. I watched it. I went back. Kevin Bacon is one of my favorites. I watched it and I saw that sometimes there would be workings where
Mhm.
they would be doing shit. And
Like
Joe Carroll said he did what? They where? Oh, okay. Well, then at least call them and let's see if we can get this to work in our advantage.
yeah.
So just know that our president, in his desire to be the head of the serpent, he
Mhm.
don't even know that the snake is literally crawling through glass. So just you watched both of the right shows, but just know if from what I saw, there were times when that man was surprised by what his legions had created as a reality for themselves that were it was above and beyond anything he thought he had saw going on, you know?
Mhm. But you got to remember too, they wanted to be him. And sometimes admiration is not admiration to keep you on a pedestal. It's just a target that I need to hit to knock somebody off so I can be it. So when you had the twins and you had their mother, just remember, they were doing all of these things to lure them out, but they weren't trying to be, and that's the thing about when they say there's no honor amongst thieves, there is no honor amongst criminals neither. They'll see you, they'll have a level of admiration for you, but sooner or later, what they will say is, well, look, if he can do this or she can do this, man, if I can knock him off, I can do it too. And that's how criminals work. And that's what we see. And that's what you saw with Epstein, and you saw that with Trump. When Trump pulled that move where he messed up that house with Epstein in Florida, and you got to understand, that house was probably a house that they needed for an operation. Trump stepped in it and bought the house. He didn't understand what Epstein was doing. Epstein understood what he was doing. And that sometimes is the thing that I feel like it's not lower level criminal like stuff. And what I mean by that is on lower level criminal stuff, a lot of times the criminals will talk amongst each other about what they're doing. Yeah, I'm about to go sell this dope. Yeah, I'm about to go break in this house. Yeah, I'm about to go commit this murder, whatever the case may be. On this level of high stakes, you got to appear like you're independent, but you got somebody pulling your strings over here. This guy got to feel like he's independent and he got somebody pulling the strings. It may be the same puppet master or it may be two different puppet masters, but they all got to appear like they are the one. Epstein just had to drop on Trump and he understood who was controlling Trump. And I think that that's something that we have to really think about as we go along with this. Same thing real quick with the Clintons. This whole piece, when they said, when Hillary Clinton said, oh yeah, I'll testify public. Did y'all hear Trump's response? Well, they always treated me nice. I don't know about you doing that, because he doesn't want to set the precedent, because in case his plan fails in any aspect, he does not want to be dragged out to do this. Now,
In public.
in public, Comer's dumber than a box of bricks. He don't get it, and he won't get it. But once again, one has one puppet master, the other has another puppet master, and sometimes they work in unison and sometimes they don't. And that's what you see happening right in front of our eyes as a public. The thing is, when is the people gonna come together to make one plan to say, no matter what, this ain't good enough for us? Because I just went to the grocery store and I know they said $3, but man, I'm telling you, it feels like it's about $15 per meal, man. To I know they say $3, I'm about $12 over.
So look, I need to get out of here.
Mm.
Rodney, what you need to say before we close out? Before I close out?
Oh no, you go ahead and close it, brother. We can talk later.
Okay, got you. Look, family, please. I know it's still the winter, as Rashi mentioned earlier. Hope everyone's staying warm, staying dry, stay encouraged, be mindful, get your supplies, be ready. Be ready so you don't have to get ready. Without a doubt. If ain't nobody told you this week they love you, we do. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Until next week, family.